Green Report. Going live today for day 2 of the NFL draft. Obviously, the picks have just started just now, so a little behind on it, but Carson Schlesinger, linebacker, just went pick 33 to the Browns. So today we are going to be going over basically the picks as they come in going into this second round. We obviously did our reaction yesterday to the Jets pick at number 7 with Armand Membu. Kind of give us, just to give you guys my brief take on that again, just to kind of reiterate what I said yesterday. I really enjoyed the pick. I just felt like this is now going to solidify our offensive line going forward for the next couple of years. Now we don't have to worry about right tackle, especially with AVT and John Simpson, our two starting guards going into contract years. I believe AVT will probably look to see an extension coming within the next couple of months after this weekend's draft. But it leaves us the question that if we didn't solve tackle in this year's draft, that we were going to potentially be looking for tackle and a guard next offseason. So at least this shores up one of those positions. So now you don't have to worry about that being the case going into next year. So I really enjoyed the pick. I would have been ecstatic if it was Tyler Warren. I would have been ecstatic if it was anybody at this point because we have no idea what this regime is like. We don't know what the coaching staff is like yet. So we don't have an idea or a clue as to, anything in terms of what this regime has in store for us. We don't even know what type of a pick they're going to make going forward. But the one thing that I can see is we are going to be a tough nosed team that is going to play through the trenches. Based on last night's assessment alone, and the pick we made with Membu, it just goes to show that we are going to really heavily focus on the trenches. And I definitely think we are going to follow suit with that theme today in rounds 2 and rounds 3. From reports from, I believe it was Pauline that put out the report, I think we're going to see now a run on playmakers. So I definitely can see the Jets going for either a wide receiver or a tight end with their first pick tonight. I may just go on live here for the first pick in the second round. And then what if we trade back, whatever, I'll give my opinions as things go through. Um, as I say that, Jaden Higgins out of Iowa State just went to the Texans. That was a guy that has been on our radar throughout this entire offseason process. A lot of Jet fans really wanted Jaden Higgins in the second round. I personally also was aiming for him as well. So to see him go off the board early means that a lot of teams also had him pretty high. Deep threat, 6'4", can go up and get it, has a really good after the catch ability. And on top of that, he was a basketball player. So it explains why he was super athletic when the ball's in the air. I really enjoy this player. Texans are getting a really great player. So I feel like a lot of playmakers out of Iowa State over the last couple of years, especially with the guys that you see with the Jets picking up in Breece Hall and even Will McDonald, those picks have pretty much looked pretty good for us over the last couple of years. So I can't imagine that Jaden Higgins isn't going to be another great addition. Now we have Tennessee on the clock. I do think that the NFL in general needs to try to transition to this 7-minute clock, even for the first round, because even on that, I feel like the days have gone super, super fast when they're doing it this way versus when they do it another way. Let me see here. Let's see. And guys, let me know in the chat, who do you think would be the best pick here for today? I definitely think there's a couple of big names that are still on the board. We still have a lot of names that kind of came out of that first round that we were all expecting to be first rounders that I definitely still can see. Apparently there is a trade. So Tennessee is now moving out of pick 35 and Seattle is now trading up. They're trading trading pick 52 and 82 in this year's draft. So they're getting a later second round, and they're also getting an additional third round pick to move up spots to 35 with Tennessee. And it seems like the trade is going to be to get Nick Emenwari, which again, if he would have fallen to our pick, I would have been pretty happy with that as well, considering the need at safety. But I also do think that with this class, you can probably get a safety in the later rounds. But this is looking like it's probably going to be Nick Emenwari. There's still a lot of big names that we're seeing on the board. Will Johnson, the biggest one. This is a guy that 2 years ago was being considered as a top 5 pick, and he's falling out of the first round. Trey Amos, another good corner that's still there. Azariah Thomas, guys that we've spoken about in past videos. These are all really good names at the secondary positions. I know we mainly don't need a corner, but it would be nice to have a pipeline guy or somebody that could step in if Brandon Stevens doesn't turn out to be the guy. But safety, especially a strong safety, would be somebody that I'd want to target right now. I know Xavier Watts is still on the board. So, guys, let me know what you're thinking here in terms of a pick. I definitely think this would be a really good conversation to have. Another big thing that's been surfacing over the last couple of days, we didn't get to talk about it yesterday on the live stream, but there's conversations around Breece Hall being potentially moved. We saw the reports from Jacina Anderson, and then a few moments later, we see him with the fingers crossed emoji. I don't know if that necessarily means that anything. We did hear from the Jets brass last night after the draft, after they made their pick, and they spoke about it briefly, saying that Breece Hall is on the team as of right now, and he's not moving anywhere. So it would be nice to not have to worry about Breece Hall potentially getting traded. But is there a possibility that a team that needs a running back would potentially come and try to trade with the Jets to get a player of that caliber? I personally don't think so. I just think with the strength of running back in this year's draft being as deep as it is, I really don't think that any team is going to want to have to trade assets to go out and get a guy like Breece Hall, knowing full well that they're going to have to trade and sign him long term, knowing that he's only on one more year of his rookie contract. So I think teams are more likely to go and just draft one this draft if they need it. Considering that there's already been 2 major running backs taken, I have definitely a big feeling that in this round we're going to start to see a run on running backs sooner rather than later. If not in this round, probably in rounds 3. Pick is coming in. Maybe when the picks go live, I will share the screen with everybody. So that way we can see the picks as they come in. They're kind of pump faking me though right now. They're going right down to the wire on this pick here. The one guy that I'm seeing that's falling from the playmaker's perspective is Luther Burden. I'm surprised that he's falling as far as he's falling, considering a lot of people had him as the top receiver. Let's pull this up here. Really nice seeing Richard Sherman get his moment with the Seahawks organization. Legendary corner for them for several years. Helped them get to a Super Bowl.
The Tennessee Titans have traded the 35th pick to the Seattle Seahawks. With the 35th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Nick Emenwari, DB, South Carolina.
The guy, absolute freak out of South Carolina, blew up the combine.
Absolutely lit up the combine. He led all of the safeties in vertical jump, broad jump, bench press reps, second best 40 time at a sub 4.4. And there he is, the South Carolina star, first team All-American.
Really good success with their secondary players. So to see somebody of his caliber going at this point, I personally thought that he was going to be I thought that he was definitely going to be at least a first rounder, but the fact that he fell to the second round was shocking to me, at least. I know that there's still a very good amount of players that are going to still be on the board. Let me see. I had a list here from before. I just also feel like trenches might still be in the cards here as well. I feel like with the amount of playmakers that are falling, although for me, I'm targeting Luther Burden at this point. I feel like outside of Garrett Wilson, we really don't have a threat at the receiver position. And I feel like Luther Burden's getting a little bit of slack for the lack of production this past year. But I felt like if you really turn on the tape and you watch, a lot of that has more to do with the quarterback play more than the talent of Luther Burden himself. Because the year prior and the year before that, he was being considered as one of the top wide receivers in the country. So for me, it's kind of tough. I feel like if he's still there, you at least have the discussion. There's also the talks of tight end. We still need a really good tight end. Being that is something that's still there position wise that we really need. Mason Taylor's name got thrown out by Pauline today as somebody that they could really go after. I wouldn't be upset with Mason Taylor at all. I feel like he's really talented, good pass catcher, is a little bit of an underrated blocker, but not the greatest blocker. So I'd be okay with them taking them at that pick. Let's see. Quinshon Judkins just went to the Cleveland Browns. Considering the fact that they're going to be having issues at running back position, that's going to be a position. They didn't re-sign Nick Chubb, and Nick Chubb, I believe, is on a 1-year deal as of right now. So we might see a situation where either Nick Chubb wants to get moved, or you never know, they might re-sign him and just have a 1-2 punch with him and Quinshon Judkins. That would be a really crazy 1-2 punch, but I have a feeling if you're taking somebody this high in the second round as your running back, he's probably going to be his replacement. And then you go running back by committee with all the guys that they have in that room. This is going to be that's a pretty big issue to have. I don't know, guys. You let me know in the chat. What are you feeling right now in terms of a selection for the New York Jets as we speak? I'm kind of torn at the moment. There's a couple of guys in the trenches that are still there. Darius Alexander, a guy that we spoke about, somebody that is very, very high in our regard throughout this cycle. Somebody that I'm really okay with being there for us right now. I'm very okay with that. Let's see what else we have going on right now. They're doing a little background story. So, guys, let me know in the chat right now, who are we feeling for this pick? Oh, we have another trade. The Raiders are on the clock, but the pick is going to the Dolphins. I have a feeling it's for Burden. I can't imagine this not being either a playmaker or somebody on their offensive line. That line needs a lot of work. I could see them either coming up for an offensive lineman. I could see them coming up for a defensive lineman. But the pick is traded. See, this is the problem when it comes to socials, is a lot of these picks get ruined before it even happens. I'm going to try my best as we get close to the Jets pick to try to ruin these picks. They took Kenneth Grant in the first round. which I believe was a phenomenal pickup for them. They needed that interior of their defensive line to get better. Obviously, we never want a division rival to make good picks, but so far the Dolphins have had a pretty decent draft. They had a lot of guys leave. So offensive line is going to be a big issue here. Robert Hunt being somebody who left a year ago. So they have a lot of needs in the interior there. They need some tackle help with Terron Armstead retiring. So they need tackle help. I'm going to probably go offensive lineman here if I had to guess, but we'll find out in a second once the pick is in. Once the pick goes in, we'll share it back. But let me know, guys, in the chat, how are we feeling so far? There's still a lot of really interesting names on the board. I definitely think that there's still some underrated guys that have not been selected yet. Let's go live to this pick now.
Let's go. All right, we got a trade. We got a trade here. The Las Vegas Raiders have traded the 37th pick to the Miami Dolphins. With that being said, the 37th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Jonah Savaiinaea, offensive guard, Arizona. Let's go.
Arizona. So they have him listed here as a guard. But for the most part, he's also listed as a tackle.
He's played a lot of different
places all over the offensive line.
He was born and raised in America Samoa alongside.
Played all over the offensive line. This can be a Swiss Army knife. If they need him to play tackle, he could play tackle in a pinch. But I feel like his projected outlook on this team is probably going to be at the guard position. I'm pretty sure he came in measurement-wise, and they said that he was a little lighter on the arms. And that's probably going to take him down to more of a guard at the next level. 6'4", 324. Had primarily played right tackle this year. But he has played left tackle as well. So he does have flexibility there. So who knows? They might try to push him over to left tackle to replace Terron Armstead. But you got to think about it this way. When you have a left-handed quarterback, the right tackle is actually more of your blindside protector. So this might be the right tackle of the future. You never know. They might try to push him over to the left. We'll see. But now our second division rival is now on the clock at 38. We have him on the board. Boys and girls, we were trying to check to make sure we were going live because yesterday we were having some technical difficulties going live. Today doesn't seem like we are having those issues. So I'm going to just technically go over here and just make sure that this is actually working. And it's true. We are live. Everything's great. So let's see. We put something in here. We're at a commercial break right now. So in that trade with Miami, the Raiders are taking on pick 48, 98, and 135 from Miami in exchange for 37 and 143. So they're giving up a pretty sizable amount to move up. At this point, I feel like the Jets are sitting pretty right now. I feel like there's a couple of guys on this board that are just still falling. Let's see. Available day 2. Let's see. Yeah, guys. So based on this outlook, I'm still thinking wide receiver or tight end at this point. I just feel like at this point we have to continue to build this offense. And I feel like if you're going with Justin Fields right now, the best thing that you can do for a young quarterback is to try to give them as much weapons and help as possible. And I just feel like at this point, we're about 1, 2, 3, 4. We're about 5 picks away here. Chicago's picking twice after New England here. Saints are coming up. I just feel like this is too perfect not to try to get somebody in that caliber. Will Johnson's still on the board. Mike Green is still on the board. Luther Burden's still on the board. Donovan Ezerico from Boston College, the edge, still available. Nick Scorton out of Texas A&M. Mason Taylor out of LSU. I still think it's going to be between Luther Burden and unless he goes in the next couple picks here. I can see that being an option. Demetrius Knight Jr. out of South Carolina, linebacker, still available. Trey Amos, still available. Landon Jackson. These are all guys that are high-caliber players that are still on the board. They're talking about right now Ohio State having about 4 or 5 guys go in the first round. Interesting. So Patriots made a big move up. We'll see who they end up taking. There's a lot of things that the Patriots need, offensively at least. And I feel like at this point, similar case that I just made for the Jets, they have a young quarterback. So building around your young quarterback should probably be their main focus. So I feel like offense is going to be a big, heavy need. So let's go to the pick.
I'm going to go first. To help make the New England Patriots selection, we are honored to have with us Special Olympic athletes Xavier Goff and Unified Sports Partner Reed Turner. Both are Unified Flag football teammates from Special Olympics. Reed.
I think this is an offense here.
Xavier.
I hope it's not Luther Burden. Hope it's not Mason Taylor. I definitely think it's going to be offense.
Play 60 community
I feel like they need a running back.
By the NFL Foundation.
This would be a good pick here.
The NFL and Special Olympics team up to provide opportunities for athletes of all ages and abilities to get active through unified flag football. This allows individuals with and without intellectual disabilities to play on the same team.
Because I feel like I'm going to have to put it right back up.
Xavier,
let's see.
Reed, you got the stage.
With the 38th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots select
TreVeyon Henderson, running back, Ohio State.
Running back.
Yeah. That Drake made a little
TreVeyon Henderson. New England fans going nuts.
TreVeyon Henderson, who was sensational during the college football playoff. Nobody gained more.
That's a good pick. I like that for them. They needed a lot at that running back position. I feel like outside of the running backs that they currently have, obviously they had a lot of outside of Ramondre Stevenson, you have an aging Antonio Gibson and Terrell Jennings. So, unless they feel like Antonio Gibson is going to, turn back the clock for them, this is a good pick. I feel like, you're getting a dynamic rusher and at good value here. I feel like, this is similar to where we were at a couple of years ago when we took Breece, but at that time we had Michael Carter, a very young guy. I feel like he was established. He had made a lot of flash plays, but he wasn't necessarily standing out as the guy for us. And then we ended up taking Breece. A lot of the guys, a lot of the fan base was surprised when we ended up going with that selection that year. But I feel like this is a similar scenario. But now, you have Ramondre Stevenson still on the team. This can be your thunder and lightning combination if you look to keep Stevenson long term, and he's a good blocker, which is the big thing. So I know for a fact that coaching staff is going to want a guy that's a willing blocker. Chicago is on the board. They pick twice now in the next 3 picks. This is going to be big for them. It's going to be big time for them. I'm interested to see who they end up going with. I'm hoping they don't take a wide receiver or a tight end. That's for sure. They were able to completely revamp that offensive line for Ben Johnson. So I don't think offensive line is going to be something that they go after here. They are a team that also needs a running back. I thought a lot of people thought that they were going to be a team that were going to go after Genty in round 1. They also need a running back here. So they might take one of the talented running backs that are in this round here. They might take one later. I can also see them going edge here. There's still a lot of good names for edge players that are on the board. Donovan Ezerique is somebody that sticks out right away. He's a guy that was being projected out of Boston College to be a first-round talent, and he's here in the 2nd round. So I feel like this would be a good opportunity to grab him. Landon Jackson out of Arkansas is still on the board. Mike Green from Marshall. 2 guys, especially with Mike Green and Donovan Ezerique. Those are guys that were being heavily projected as round 1 talents. Some were even saying Mike Williams, or sorry, not Mike Williams. Mike Green was being regarded as a top 10 pick at one point throughout the process, and he's still here now in the 2nd round. So I could see a Mike Green or a Donovan Ezerique going here at pick 39 or even 41. They could double dip. They could get a lot of good things here with these 2 high picks. I could see a trade down scenario even at 41. It looks like the pick is in, so we'll see what ends up coming out here. We'll see it, but not happy with that notification. They got their guy. Pick is in. We'll go live to the pick now. As soon as he goes to the podium. I think the commissioner's coming out now to make the pick. Once he comes out, there we go. All I know is I'm not happy with the pick, but it's a good pickup for the Bears.
All right. Simmer down. Simmer down.
White.
With the 39th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the 2025 NFC North champions, Chicago Bears, select Luther Burden III.
Yeah, not ecstatic about that. I was hoping he would fall a little further. But if they didn't take him now, they were going to take him in 2 picks from now. But I had a feeling they wanted to take him now because they knew he would maybe go in the next pick or 2.
The explosive receiver from Missouri as Chicago, trying to take
rich get richer. That wide receiver room now is crazy.
Bringing in an offensive coordinator,
DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Luther Burden, Rome Odunze. That wide receiver room is going to be very, very explosive. Obviously, Ben Johnson coming from Detroit, he's going to want to have an explosive offense.
He's going to catch a little 5-yard stop route right here, and can't get him on the ground.
And Nick, my co-host, co-host Nick just texted me just now. We have a little group chat going, and we were just talking about it. Bears took our guy. I really wanted him to keep falling, and he was only a couple picks away too. I was thinking running back here. I was thinking edge for them, but they go with the explosive weapons. And now Caleb Williams has his pick of receivers, man. That's for sure. And I know Ben Johnson is going to get very creative with all of these weapons, and they're going to have a brutal offense for next year with Caleb Williams. And now adding a guy like Luther Burden, who arguably is one of the top receivers in this class. It is not the greatest receiving class comparatively to last year, but this is a guy that probably could end up being the top receiver in this class when it's all said and done.
Wasn't the best year for Burden. A lot of talent.
So we'll see what happens, but this is a guy that
2023, he was
crazy
a
yak guy, crazy after the catch.
Because of the impact.
He didn't have the greatest year last year, mainly because of, Nick came live in the chat, man. My man Nick hates this. Oh my God. Dude, you know what? I'm so livid. I wanted him to drop a couple more picks, and I really can't stand that we're not getting anything more out of this. I at this point, Mason Taylor looks like the guy. I think tight end is going to be the move here. I'd be surprised if it was anything else at this point. But we're going to have to wait and see. I'm livid. Only 3 more spots. Ben Johnson, Foreman, and Army Knife. Yeah, absolutely. I was just saying this just now. It's crazy because I feel like now you have such the rich get richer because now you have a crazy wide receiver room over there. You have, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore. You have Luther Burden now, and you have Rome Odunze from last year. So it's like the rich get richer. The pick is in for the Saints. Now that we're getting close to our pick now, I kind of want to try to stay off the phone. I don't want to get as many notifications. So if the chat ends up updating me on what happens before I see it, we'll see. Looks like the Saints are happy with who they end up picking. So they are a team that needs a quarterback. So I can definitely see a quarterback here. Shedeur Sanders is still on the board. But I have a feeling a lot of people are just really souring on Shedeur, and I don't think it's because of his cockiness or his arrogance. I think it's more so because of the talent. I'm not going to sit here and say he's a bust. The guy's clearly talented. I just think the arm talent is not there comparatively to a lot of guys that are on this board. So this pick is going to be interesting, but this would probably be a spot. This would probably be a spot for a quarterback. Let's go live to the pick now.
Nation, I see you. All right. With the 40th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Tyler Shough.
Tyler Shough.
Louisville.
I think a lot of Saints fans were hoping for Shedeur. But Tyler Shough, we've heard his name over the entirety of the last month in terms of guys that are getting a lot of buzz. And Tyler Shough is the pick. This is a guy that was flying up draft boards over the last couple of months. A lot of people were saying that his arm talent is there. I personally just think the age is more of a problem for me. I think this guy has been he's a lot older than a lot of the other prospects, but he has been in a ton of systems because he has gone from school to school to school. So he's been in a lot of systems. He knows how to play in a pro-style offense. And if you watch the tape, this kid makes every throw. And on top of that, he's an underrated athlete too. He ran a 4.63 40. So that was second best among quarterbacks. He's a good athlete here. He's 25 years old though, so he is the same age as Brock Purdy, Trevor Lawrence, and Justin Fields is 26. He's only a couple months older than him. So that's where the biggest problem for me is that he is an older prospect. So you have to deal with the fact that, you know, this is a guy that is on the older side. So, you know, how much are you really getting out of this? Is this really going to be your quarterback of the future? You're banking on an older guy to kind of lead you. Who knows? He could end up being the best quarterback in this class. We don't even know yet. We haven't seen anybody play. So we don't even know what this is going to look like in the next couple of years. But Tyler Shough, very underrated pick. I did not see that coming. And as predicted, as I just said a few moments ago, Chicago trades out of the pick and Buffalo just leapfrogged them. So now they definitely thought that we were going to take somebody, and now they're going with the pick. Let's see. I just want to see the trade details. Buffalo is trading pick 56, 62, and 109 to Chicago for 41, 72, and 240. So they are trading up in round 2 and trading back in the bottom half of the round. 72 would be in next round. So that's top of the round. So they're going back in the third. Interesting here. But I'm interested to see who they end up leapfrogging for, because they're trying to leapfrog us. So it's clearly somebody that might be on our radar. So I'm interested to see who this pick is for. At this rate, guys, I'm personally, if we look at who's available, if we look at positions that are available, let's see here, at least from a wide receiver perspective. Jack Bech, still on the board. Jalen Royals, Trey Harris, Jalen Knoll, still on the board at the receiver position. Tight end, we still have a good crop of tight ends. So Mason Taylor's still there. Elijah Arroyo's still there. Harold Fannin Jr., Terrence Ferguson, all big names there. A lot of people leading up to the last hour have linked Mason Taylor to the Jets in this round. I think that that's probably what they're going for at this point. And I'll be happy if that's the pick, because we need a starting caliber tight end that'll play for us now. Knowing Buffalo, they don't need a tight end. Unless they're looking to move off of Dawson Knox. I don't feel like they're going to go tight end here. So I'm interested to see who they're leapfrogging to go up and get. I'm not sure what their needs are. I feel like they just addressed one of their biggest needs, which was corner in last round, going with Maxwell Hairston. Although I feel as though they may have taken the wrong corner. I know Maxwell Hairston had a crazy 40 time, but I felt like Trey Amos was still on the board. Azariah Thomas, those are first-round caliber guys. I feel like those are guys that should have been more on their radar, or guys that I would have put in their radar. I think Trey Amos especially, I felt like was somebody that could have been a good fit there. Nick, I'll be pissed if Kyle Williams goes here to the Bills. Kyle Williams could also be in play for us at pick 42. We don't know yet, but they do need a wide receiver. So surprising, but they are coming up for defense. I will say that much. They are coming for defense. I am turning off all notifications because we are on the clock next. So I am turning off all notifications. Guys, like I said, I'm just going to go live for pick 42. From here on out, it's going to be a pretty nasty drop in terms of how long we'd have to wait for the third round pick. I will obviously be watching live, and if need be, I will go live again. to kind of give my live reaction as we get closer to that pick. But I want to just jump on, give my live reaction to pick 42, and give you guys my honest opinion on where we should go maybe in round 3. I'll probably jump on again, maybe for round 3 as we get closer to the pick, just to kind of give myself the ability to kind of hop on, assess what's going on, and then as we get closer to that pick, I'll give you guys my honest opinion. What do you guys think we're going here? I think it's going to be a tight end or a wide receiver. Those are going to be my options. Me and Nick talked about it last night. Let's go live to the pick here.
The 41st pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills select TJ Sanders.
TJ Sanders, South Carolina. Interesting pick.
Dive off and break a table in honor of TJ Sanders among those.
I couldn't really peg them as trying to get beefier on the defensive line.
Since the start of 2023, less than 2.5 seconds, he was able to get
very
that pressure.
good
He's got a lot of
nonetheless.
versatility test. Yeah, man, he's very.
This is a guy that obviously was getting a lot of buzz to potentially be a top of the second round type player, which obviously he ends up going here. Great versatility, as they just mentioned. Played basketball, so has that athletic ability and fluidity as a defensive lineman. A little bit on the undersized, so he's only about like 297 light, but Aaron Donald was also in that range, and he ended up being one of the best defensive tackles of all time. So I don't think that's anything out of the realm of possibilities here in terms of being a light type of player that ends up doing well at the next level. The Jets are now officially on the clock, guys. What are we thinking for this pick? Again, I've kind of reiterated it now probably ad nauseum, but I do believe that this is going to be a wide receiver or tight end. The pick is already in, so the Jets clearly have a plan in place. They know who they're going with already. I'm not looking at my phone. I'm trying to stay away from notifications. Nobody spoil it in the chat. I really want to see what this is going to look like for us. Again, for me personally, I think it's going to be a tight end or a wide receiver. I'm leaning more towards Mason Taylor at this moment. I just feel like he's the best available tight end. And then as the rounds go, we're going to start to see a drop off in the tight end talent, at least from the top end. Once Colston Loveland and Tyler Warren are gone, it's usually just like the small crop left, the main 3 names, which is Mason Taylor, Harold Fenton Jr., and then you have like a Gunnar Helm or a Terrence Ferguson. Those are probably 4 names you're looking at as like guys that could be fringe starters or impact players at the tight end position. But after that, you see a pretty gnarly drop off in terms of the rest of the talent. The rest of those guys are probably going to be late round options, late round swings. Why is it that the Jets always get the commercial break? Can we also talk about that? The Jets are always, every time the Jets are picking, either before or after the pick, we always get the commercial break. It's almost never entirely a position where the Jets are legitimately picking without interruption. I would have, like, the pick was in, I would have much rather the pick just like ran up to the podium right away and just say the pick before the commercial. But we always get the commercial break every single time. It happens almost instantly. It happened yesterday during Armand Membu, where we got the commercial break right after the pick got called. We couldn't even like celebrate the pick without commercials coming in. And now we're getting commercials again right before our pick. So exactly. The NFL hates us. For sure. He said it. And I agree. The NFL has it out for us, clearly. Guys, if you haven't already, shoot a like for this video. Helps us get out there, helps the video get more searches, puts more out for the channel, allows us to kind of have the opportunity to grow this page, this passion project of ours. As a Jet fan growing up, I've always wanted to do something like this. So having the courage and the ability to do it has been super, super fun. And I just love getting on here and talking about the Jets, even if it's just me spieling about it just to myself. I love the opportunity to kind of vent and talk about this team that we love to hate so much, or hate to love. I don't know, whatever, however you guys want to interpret it. And I'm going to throw this up on the screen so that way we can see this pick coming in. Jets War Room.
They took Armand Mimbu, the offensive tackle from Missouri, with the 7th overall pick last night. So with Mimbu in the fold, they're still looking for a wide receiver. And of course, they have Justin Fields in at quarterback, his 3rd start now.
We end up trying to maybe make a move for one of those. Obviously, 2 top edge rushers still on the board, so we can't count out this regime that potentially wanted to shore up the trenches. Defensive-minded head coach
Johnson.
Could be a sneaky option here.
Scheme corner at the NFL
Notifications are all turned off.
I would take that risk there.
Hopefully, let's see what ends up happening. I personally would more so like a weapon here. I would like a weapon.
To announce the New York Jets selection, please welcome NFL legend, 2-time first-team All-Pro, and 5-time Pro Bowler, John Abraham.
Let's go. John Abraham making the pick. You know what that means.
With the 42nd pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Mason Taylor.
Mason Taylor, let's go. Got a weapon.
The son of the great Jason Taylor, who played a single season in the Jets in his storied career.
Mason Taylor, Miami Dolphin.
This is one of my favorite tight ends.
Got an NFL lineage coming through here.
Mason Taylor, 6'5", 255 pounds. He runs extremely well for his size. He's not just an in-line tight end. You know,
gotta love this pick in terms of just giving more options to our young quarterback in Justin Fields. Guys, I think this is a home run selection so far. I think the Jets are executing to a T what I feel like they should be doing, at least in these first couple of rounds, and that is shoring up the offense. We talked about it last night. I definitely think from a perspective of a fan in terms of what I feel like this team needs the most, and that is an injection on the offense. You know, we shored up the offensive line last night. We now have 5 guys that we can really be ecstatic about in terms of for the future. We have the left tackle in Olu Fashanu. We're going to at least have him for another 4 years before we exercise a 5th-year option. We bring in Armand Mimbu, who now being a first-round pick allows us to have an extra 5 years now of team control. So now we have our offensive linemen set. That was a great executed plan last night. Now we bring in Mason Taylor. Mason Taylor now allows us to have an option outside of Garrett Wilson. And we know this from watching film on Justin Fields over the last couple of years. He enjoys throwing to his tight ends. So we bring in a couple of guys this offseason. We brought in Stone Smart. Again, very young, very unproven talent at the tight end position. We let Tyler Conklin walk. He ended up replacing him for the Chargers. So now we bring in another young, talented young player with NFL lineage, and we bring that in with Mason Taylor. This now allows us to have a weapon outside of Garrett Wilson to now have as a security blanket for Justin Fields. Guys, let us know in the comments below, how are you feeling about Mason Taylor? Do you enjoy the pick? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you think that we should have gone a different route? I think with Luther Burden off the board, if Luther Burden was still on the board, I probably would have been more on board with potentially going with the wide receiver, but he went to the Bears a couple picks before. So I really enjoy Mason Taylor a lot. Guys, I want to stay on to potentially go with our 3rd round pick, but that is a very, very far pick from now. So I want to allow myself the opportunity to soak this in, just give you guys my quick opinion on Mason Taylor, and then I will potentially come on later on as we get closer to the 3rd round pick and give you guys my instant reaction as we get closer to that. Guys, this is the Gang Green Report. Like the video on your way in to help us get a little bit more out there in terms of our viewership and allow us to get discovered a little bit more. And then follow and subscribe if you haven't already. And you already know, let's go Jets.